expedition size, you'd normally want to be sort of small and light and quick when you're in these places, and we were big and large and slow. And for every person you add in a place, these polar regions, every person you add on, the risk goes up. There's another person who could potentially be in trouble. And when we went to the North Pole, there were 12 of us. When we went to the South Pole, there were 32, and there were vehicles and there were aircraft. There were many different factors. And it was something from the sort of central hub of it, the control of it, we were finding challenging. The plan with the race was to race across 3 degrees, from 87 degrees to the pole. And at the end of each degree, which is 60 nautical miles, or a little over 100 kilometres, if there are any French in the audience, we were going to have a stop at the end of each stage and then race on. As we got near to the end of the first stage, things were just a little tougher than we'd anticipated. The terrain meant we were travelling at around about 21, 22 kilometres a day. We'd hoped to travel around about 28 kilometres a day. 1 or 2 people were suffering from the cold, which we wanted to avoid. The 2 Canadians had both collapsed from exhaustion, and there were a few things that were quite clear that we were pushing people too hard and people were pushing themselves too hard. We went down there with 12 people who had been wounded, and the plan genuinely was to come back with 12. And so when we got to the end of the first stage, we decided to call an end to the race. This was about awareness, and this was about 12 people getting to the pole. And so after the race was finished, everyone just sort of calmed down. There was the sort of feeling of just sort of, people began to relax, and we started skiing together. We started camping in the evening together. It became very much a shared experience. And people from 4 different countries, we'd all trained together. Suddenly we were brought back together, and we could enjoy this really, really extraordinary place together. And it meant it was a very special sort of moment on the 13th of December when we skied onto the pole all together, the 12 guys leading. A number of people have said it couldn't be done, which always gives a little bit of a frisson to trying to do things when people say this can't be done. And having that all there together and the shared experience was very, very special. I mentioned earlier I was just going to give you 2 minutes on why we do this. The expedition's there as our shop window to hopefully gain attention. The reason Walking with the Wounded actually exists as a charity is to support our wounded back into work. We think by having them in work they become independent, they can look after themselves, the state doesn't have to look after them, they can lead their future as an independent individual. I think in the US you have over 40,000 military trusts and NGOs and not-for-profits. We don't have it quite that bad in the UK, but we're a slightly smaller country than you probably noticed. But we've still got 2,100 military charities and trusts and foundations. It's an awful lot of people, and all those helping are doing it for very genuine reasons, but it does make the landscape a little bit complex. And so we work on these guiding principles to hopefully differentiate from others, but importantly fit in with what others are doing. The employment outcome is absolutely the core of everything we do. There's a job at the end of it. As a charity, we like to think we're leading change. There are an awful lot of organisations who've been around for a long time doing an extraordinary job to support our veterans and our wounded. But there's an inclination not to change. We've got to evolve as the world evolves around us, and so we very much try to lead that change. A key principle we work on is independence. I think there is a danger of the military charity community encouraging dependence. Too often I hear about the family of wounded. Well, their family is at home, and they should be supporting that family, and they should be moving on with that family. And it's very important that we encourage our wounded to get back on their own 2 feet and sustain themselves. We're very keen on collaboration and avoiding duplication. When you've got 40,000 odd trusts, or in the UK 2,100, there is a danger that we could all be doing the same thing. There's simply no point in 2 organisations doing the same thing. But collaborate together and invest in success, and you can actually do it a lot more a lot more successfully. And the final principle we have is accessing the inaccessible. It's very easy to go out after those who are easily accessible, the low-hanging fruit, people who are easy to get to and easy to support. It's an awful lot harder to go out for those who've fallen down the cracks of society. And so those are the people that we're trying to focus on most at getting to. These are our main programs, and I won't dwell on each, but up at the top is our main bursary scheme, which we provide cash grants for wounded for education and training. The middle line are our special projects. Make It Work is our homeless access program, where we work with homeless charities to access veterans and provide them support, not just with us, but with a series of other military charities to give them other services that we don't provide. Project Nova is where we're focusing on veterans who are in the criminal justice system, principally in police custody. We work on the theory that if we can get them in police custody, they won't go into prison. And finally, on the right is a new program that we're in the process of launching called Head Start, which is a national network of private mental health therapists, which we're doing in league with the British Legion and Combat Stress. And Health for Heroes are providing people into that for the therapy they're receiving. And finally, down the bottom is an employment pathway that we're one of the stakeholders in, that we set up with 6 other charities and the Ministry of Defence. And for us, it's just getting these men and women back into work. Tammy on the left was injured in Iraq. She now works in the NHS. Sean on the right, he was homeless, suffered a brain injury in Afghanistan, homeless up in Yorkshire. We were able to get to him. It's ironic really, he was a drug addict. And now he's clean, and we have a lot of problems with alcohol dependency and drug dependency, as I know you guys do over here. But he cleaned himself up, and he's now narcotics dog handler. And he says he knows who all the bad guys are. We have these music festivals at home, and he led the biggest drugs bust at the Bee Festival last year. And that's just 2 stories of so far we've helped a little over 1,200 people, but there are a lot more that we can help. So on that note, I'll leave you a quote from actually Cherry Garrard, who went to the South Pole in the same expedition as Captain Scott. He wasn't in the team. But I think it says it all about where we've been with a remarkable group of people. Thank you all very much for listening to our story. And I just